Welcome to episode 172 of Cowboy Sh. My name is Ted Stoven, joined by another Oilers fan over here on my right, your left. She's the creator of Lipstick and Cowboy Boots, and unlike her friend Allie, she did not find love on the Cowboy Shit podcast.
Three times. Did not work.
But we
It's a
tried though.
strikeout in Major League Baseball.
So bad.
But Cassie's in town for the Calgary Stampedes barrel racing qualifier. They don't have breakaway there, or do they?
They did, but it was last week.
Oh, it's already done? Okay. And my co-host is always Mr. Dustin Edwards. He's wearing a jersey that's got a bit of shit on it there today.
Ted, you have worn a Flame jersey in your past, so
I
I don't
know
want to hear it.
they're my second favorite team, but I just got to razz you a little bit today.
Well, I didn't have a Flames jersey on, but when I logged in to Zoom before my camera came on, I seen your guys' Oilers paraphernalia. So I was quick to the tickle trunk to get this Lindholm
Lindholm
on. So, yeah,
jersey?
this is an antique now.
I guess he's gone. He's in Vancouver right
He's
now.
a Vancouver Canuck. So
Hey, do you have a good view of the tower from your new apartment there?
no, I have a good view of the Saddle Dome and Cowboys Casino out my window.
Oh,
Okay.
that's handy.
I think that you should probably go outside tonight because I heard that the tower is going to be lit up blue and orange.
It's not for the Oilers.
I don't know.
That's some
For a
terrible timing on their behalf.
charitable. They had some fun with it on social though. I thought that was pretty funny that they played that off. But
Not bad.
no, I'm looking at the old Saddle Dome today now. So
At your workplace, that's kind of nice.
yeah,
Pretty awesome. Okay, so last time we talked on the show, though, we talked about how like I was honestly at a point where I was like, I'm honestly just happy that Edmonton's made it as far as they did. Like I was like, this is just great. I was trying to be thankful, and also just like this is cool. We're in the conference final. They were down against Dallas at the time. I think it was like game 3-4 or something, and we were down 2-1, I think. And I was like, it's just been good. It's cool. But then they came back and beat them, and now they're in the Cup final. And I remember being in. Well, we just went on a big run. We were in Ontario for a bunch of PBR events, and I was in BJ Prince's living room watching the game with him on Sunday night after London. I flew all night from Grand Prairie to get over to London for the show. And I was jumping up and down in his living room and like trying to be quiet because the kids are already sleeping and Michelle's already sleeping upstairs. And yes, like it feels surreal that they made the finals.
Look at
well,
us.
it was look at the Oilers. It's been since because I remember when I was in grade 10, the Flames made the Cup final. That's when they lost to Tampa on the controversial goal.
Yeah,
And then
it was in.
so I was on my high in grade 10. Grade 11 was the lockout year. There was no hockey. Then my grade 12 year, the Oilers made the Cup final and lost to Carolina. So like
And game 7.
in my high school years, which in where I grew up was like very split Flames and Oilers, it was like these really
Stellar.
crazy playoff highs because within 3 years, the two Alberta teams were in the Cup final. And then since then, it's just been an absolute drought. So it's cool to see people excited about it. And like I literally drove to McMahon Stadium today from the Dome, and I probably passed 15 people wearing Oilers jerseys walking around downtown Calgary.
No way.
It's caught on here too, unfortunately. But
I feel like
uh,
I'm less likely to get beat up wearing my Oilers stuff right now.
right now you're good.
It was nice driving down the highway today. I have a car flag on my truck, I guess, with an Oilers flag, of course. And there was a vehicle pulling up beside me that started honking their horns at me. And I knew it was for the flag. And I turned and it was an older couple. And they're like giving me a thumbs up and honking. They loved it. So that kind of made my day today.
Well, it brings so many people together in community when like sports teams rally, and it is super cool. It was neat. Me and Sean Morton were doing Leduc last weekend, Leduc Pro Rodeo. And of course, the Saturday night performance, whatever one it was, Friday night, the Oilers game was on. So we had set up the alert on my phone to get the goal reports in real time. And Sean had the Oilers goal horn loaded up and the goal song. And I said, no matter when in the performance they score, just hit the horn. And of course, they scored 4 goals that night. I think they won 4-1 or 5-1.
Oh,
The
really?
game was in Dallas. And I mean, we're in Leduc, and that it was a sold out performance. I mean, everybody's wearing Oilers stuff in there. So the minute that Sean would hit that goal horn, that place erupted. And it was cool because we had trick riders there. It was Ty Miller's daughter, and they do the Hippodrome stand with the Oilers flag and an Oilers jersey. And as they're riding out, finishing, the Oilers scored and Sean hit the goal horn.
No way.
It was like the coolest thing
Wow.
ever in
Oh,
rodeo.
wow.
And it was really neat. And the fans were cheering and all into it. So I have this bright idea because we're doing Brooks on the weekend for game 1 on Saturday night. And Brian Gutman's the sound guy. And I'm like, Brian, we did this thing in Leduc last week. We had the Oilers goal horn and goal song. You got to get it loaded up for Saturday. Yeah, yeah. So he like the next day, like spent time downloading it and getting it put into his system.
Yeah.
And of course they get shut out. We never had to play the damn thing once. So ruined our big plan.
Oh man, I never even thought to do that at our shows. We had one on. We had one. I think I don't. I think there was one on the airplane when I was going to London, maybe, and they just won it in overtime before it took off or something. Maybe that was the week before. I don't know. I've been a few places the last couple weeks, but
It's a little foggy.
yeah, it's a little foggy. But there was one game where they like scored in overtime when I was taking off. There's another one where they were playing when I was flying or something. I don't know.
Super cool. And then in Leduc,
cool.
of course. So me and Sean have this plan. So I'm like, soon as like the alert comes through, the game is over and the Oilers win. I said, we'll just crank La Bamba in the arena. So we have this all planned out. Leave it to our pal Dennis Halstead.
Oh no.
He's like, the game just finishes, and I look at Sean. I'm like, it's over. And Denny just jumps on the mic. Oilers won. It's over. Oilers win. Sean's just like, fuck Dennis. So he stole.
Hopefully,
our,
still played it.
He stole our moment. We still played it.
What was your plan? What were you gonna do?
Well, we were just like, soon as it's over, we're just gonna crank La Bamba, not say anything, and the place will probably just erupt. But Dennis's anticlimactic sell kind of ruined our moment. So,
Okay.
and then Dennis made a prompt announcement that I worked for the Flames, and the whole place booed me. So that was fun.
I mean, technically, you work for the Calgary Sports Entertainment Corporation.
Well, my pay stub
They
says
also-
Calgary Flames.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I take it back.
Yeah.
Take it back. I've never had a paycheck from the Edmonton Oilers or the Calgary Flames, but I've worked in both buildings now, I guess.
Yeah.
And Winnipeg and Ottawa. Quebec City's the Ramparts.
All the places. You've been everywhere.
Abbotsford Heat, the farm team back in the day. Trying to think where else. But
How about Shania Twain playing the pregame on Saturday for the Oilers?
what?
Might
do you
go
mean?
check that out.
What's going on? What's happening?
Shania Twain is going to play a free concert in the outside the Rogers
What?
pregame 4.
I also saw Our Lady Peace is supposed to play, but I don't know if they're doing
They're
that
playing the
on
first night. They're playing
Thursday.
game 3. Yeah.
What? Where are they
Yeah.
doing this at?
downtown.
Like-
It says just outside of the arena.
In the Ice District area.
It'll
yeah.
probably be on the east side of the building. They usually like
Oh,
put
in
a
that
tent in
building?
there. Yeah.
That
So it's
tent?
free for Shania. Free. And
Yeah.
it starts at like
No
3 o'clock
way.
or something. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I know what I'm doing
So-
Saturday.
She was at the Stampeders game here on Friday night.
Oh, really?
And there's been lots
In
of
Alberta
sightings of
Timber?
her in Okotoks and stuff.
Really?
And so I
Was
had
it-
posed the question in a meeting today. I said, why is Shania like all over? And apparently she just bought a ranch south of Calgary and has moved here.
She was in Diamond Valley. I saw there was a news thing.
Yeah,
where
like the
she stopped in.
Chuck-Wagon Cafe or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Really?
So Shania Watch is in full speed and apparently a resident now of Alberta.
Alberta. No shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I might or may not have a Shania story by next week, but I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm just going to leave that as a little bit of a
Just leave us hanging.
leave that.
Thanks,
Just
Ted.
throw it in there. 'Cause I don't know what'll happen or not, but we may have another Shania sighting this week, but I don't
Oh.
know the whole thing yet.
She can be on the
Uh,
pod? That'd be
I don't
cool.
know. Well, but okay, funny story though.
That'd be fun.
Funny
Okay,
story
quit
though.
deflecting.
I'll fill you guys in later. But Brinson this morning, we were just with Brinson all week in Ontario, and he sends me this song, and it's called White Claw, and it's fucking Young Gravy and Shania Twain doing a duet,
That'd be fun.
and it's called White Claw. And
Like
it
about
was
drinking White
fucking
Claws,
totally
or-
ridiculous. Well, yeah, they're talking about drinking White Claws and all the different flavors, and like there's got like Young Gravy's obviously got the cougar thing, like that's
Yeah.
one of his like themes.
Yeah.
So the Shania obviously a bit of a coug at this point.
If that's a thing, if you guys do end up doing a pod with Shania, if you
Yeah,
guys
on it.
don't start the pod episode with "Let's go, girls," you're
And we
doing it
failed
wrong.
miserably.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna have to ask the audience what we should ask Shania to figure that out. But Dustin, okay, you were just in Brooks. You were at the rodeo in Brooks since we did the
Yep.
last show. Did we talk since Leduc too? I forget what
No,
all
that
happened
we did the pod right before Leduc. So
before the Duke. Okay.
we've had Leduc, we've had Brooks. Going to the Gleason Bronc match
Wednesday.
night.
Pod
Yep.
day.
Yep. So
And then there's one other one too. You're gonna be in where are you at on the weekend? Or you got the weekend off?
weekend off. Yep.
Weekend off.
Gonna
Nice.
be leading a barrel horse down an alley apparently.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, barrel
Fiance
racer
duties.
boyfriend. Yeah,
Yeah.
fiance duties,
Fair enough.
and looking forward to that. So
We
find out your local barrel jackpot.
we've got Matt and Cole who just did the entire Rocky Pro Rodeo with Denny and Dave. I was out east, so those guys did the whole show, and then they're gonna go do Stavely this weekend too. So we got the crew down there. They'll be in Stavely, and then what? Then we're going to Wainwright, and you'll be in. Where are you at that?
Bassano has a pro rodeo that weekend. I'll
Bassano.
be at. Yeah,
You're in the southeast area for a couple of weeks, eh?
the South Run.
The Gleason, Brooks, and
Yeah, Bassano
Bassano
Run, all within 30 minutes of each other.
You could probably almost stay at your house every night, though.
Yeah, it's nice.
Did you stay
It's
at home after
close.
Brooks?
No, I hoteled it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you still allowed to
I
stay in Canaltas or no?
I was at the Heritage Inn.
Oh, the Heritage. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
actually had a wonderful evening sitting up with Friday night with Danny and Dusty Danes.
Oh yeah.
Danny telling old Jack Danes stories and stories about the ranch. It got pretty entertaining. So
Oh really? I bet
some good stories I'd love to tell on here, but we would be shut down.
we'd be canceled.
It was interesting to hear him talk about Jack Danes and the stuff he used to say on the microphone. That if you said it now, you'd never work in rodeo again.
Well, I think I can probably not get canceled for this, but I heard one about Jack Dane saying like pretty loudly in the announcer stand, loud enough that somebody could hear, where he was like, "That Miss Rodeo Canada, I'd be her saddle or something like like
I'd like to be your saddle.
like to be your saddle." And I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that's probably not.
No.
It's probably not allowed.
Oh no.
It's probably frowned
had
upon on a microphone."
he had some lines, that's for sure.
Wow.
Man, I remember one of the Jack Dane stories about what was it? Oh, there was like an indigenous bareback riding in Caroline back in the day, and he used to announce it, and it used to be just, you can imagine anybody that knows who Jack Danes is, he's pretty gruff and like there's no filter at all. Never was.
That's
never
when you had the Beaver Bones crew riding bareback
Yeah.
horses.
Yeah, and they were like I remember there were stories about the bareback rider guys there. They would ride and they'd mane and tail the horses. Like they just grab a grip of mane and grab the horse's tail and just let her rip. So imagine
Yeah,
what
one
the
was
announcer like.
apparently someone was mucked out in the arena, and Jack said, "Just throw some panels up around him, and we'll keep rolling."
Oh boy. What about Dustin? Is it weird though that you're wearing a Flames jersey at a time like this and a Wranglers hat? Like the Flames are golfing, man. Like what do you?
It was mostly a rebuttal to what you guys were currently wearing. So,
Okay.
does it look foolish, and is it stupid? Very likely. Because I'm not one of those people that would go to I'm never going to go to an Oilers game and wear an Oilers or a Flames jersey when they're playing
Fair.
LA or something. Or I'm not that
You know,
person.
be that lost fan.
No, I'm not the Lost fan. So, yeah, I
I
know.
feel like you're a bit of a lost fan right now.
I feel like a lost fan. I'm lost.
Just-
I'm gazing out into the abyss, wondering what I'm doing.
it's okay.
Anyways, they're interviewing Connor McDavid's dad. It's game 2 of the finals, and
We're up one.
yeah, it was one rip, but by the time the show ends, you guys will know what's happening in the final.
We're gonna win it.
I hope we can win it.
Yeah.
There's something I've heard.
Ekholm get the first goal. I was kind of
Ekholm did. Yeah.
Ekholm, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been watching the whole playoffs. What do you actually think, Dustin, between these two teams and where they're at? Like you've watched like almost every game of the playoffs this year. You said you've been watching a ton of it.
Yeah, I've watched pretty much every game possible. It'll come down to goaltending, I think. If Bobrovsky versus Skinner head to head, it goes either direction. That's who's going to win the series, I think.
Okay.
He's tough.
Yeah, I mean, what did he turn away? 34 shots
Yeah.
in game 1, and that's like 34 shots. Is 34 shots, but then break that down to the best 2 players in hockey nowadays, and a pretty good power play. So it's going to be a goaltending battle. I think whoever wins that is going to win the cup.
Okay.
And I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go to 6 or 7 for sure.
I hope it does.
They'll split. Probably, hopefully, win tonight. They'll probably split back in Edmonton, and I think it'll become a best of 3.
Really?
it'll become a best of 3 to wrap it up.
Wow. Will be
That's
interesting.
my bold prediction. Very bold.
I'm gonna say Oilers in 6, and it's gonna be there. People are gonna probably mostly riot if the Oilers can win in 6 and win it at home and win the cup on home turf, first time in like 30 some years.
That would be incredible.
It'd be remarkable. It'd be cool to see. It'd be great for the game, great for Alberta, great for Canada.
True.
And it's amazing. Like, I hear it just like in the office and stuff, like what it does for the economy and things like that. And like the amount of Oilers merch that's sold is in the, millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like it's every lounge, every bar, even in Calgary, there's bars on 17th with Oilers flags out and inviting people in to watch their games. The hot dog guy just down the road here across the bridge in Inglewood, he's from Edmonton originally. He's flying his Oilers flags and stuff down at his hot dog stand. So
no shit.
Yeah, it's good for everybody. Unless you're in my office.
How about the well, you guys will have your chance again someday.
Yeah, someday.
How about the lady in the stands at the watch party?
Did you see that the Spit and Chicklets had her on today?
It was the most cringy interview. I watched 30 seconds of it and got out of there.
She's got a Kimes hat on. She's sitting in her high country pickup truck.
Big sunglasses.
And it was a little tough to watch for sure. But we did learn that they were not real, which wasn't a shocking piece of evidence.
No kidding. You don't say.
It's funny how naive she was. She's like, right after it went on Twitter, I reported it and then it got taken down. I thought I was in the clear. And I'm thinking,
oh my gosh.
Are you kidding?
Oh no.
So
oh no.
Apparently if they win the cup, she'll be an important part of the history of this whole thing.
Well, I believe she's got a couple job opportunities that have come her way in the last little while.
Yeah, well, remember the girl at Stampede that had the incident that was filmed?
Yes, she went on a tour as well.
She leveraged it. Yeah, she went on the Stampede tour there was a few posters circulating from various adult entertainment venues that she performed in. So,
Barney Creech, friend of the show, even saw her at one of the venues.
He had a poster in his place. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he gave her one of his shirts, one of his Wild West environmental shirts.
I love it.
Yeah. So you got to take advantage of those unique opportunities if you're her. I heard 6-figure offer. So.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, anyways, go Oilers. Hopefully the Flames are better next year. Yeah. Thanks for listening though. We got a great. We're talking about teams all the entire show so far. Different teams we're fans of, and I've got to say after doing the show with these next two that I'm a fan of the Austin Gamblers now. So I'm gonna be watching the.
Next pod will wear our Austin Gamblers merch that they're sending our way. So
yeah, if it shows up in time, we'll be wearing it.
At least I will.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Depends how the Oilers do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you joining the show. Thanks, Cass, for jumping in. Dustin, appreciate
Cass hasn't taken her eyes off the TV for the last 5 minutes. She's into the game, folks.
She's out. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Go Oilers.
Go Oilers.
All right, welcome back to the show. This week we have the CEO of the Austin Gamblers, Mr. JJ Gottsch, and the head coach. He's 1997 PBR World Champion, one of the founders of the PBR, and 2005 inductee to the PBR Ring of Honor, Mr. Michael Gaffney. You guys, I didn't even ask where you're tuning in from this morning, but JJ, you're in the office in Austin, and Mr. Gaffney, I don't even know where you're at right now. You're from New Mexico, are you not? I have that.
Well, I was up until 3 years ago, just a matter of weeks away. We moved here for soccer, of course, and then 6 months later, I got approached by Sean for this team thing. So and to become a coach of the Gamblers. So no, I'm just due north of Austin in Georgetown, not very far from JJ right now. Currently working.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
awesome. So we were talking before we got recording here, but I got to talk about just kind of some of the other team versions of things. So the PBR Team Series is just coming into its 3rd season here. Austin Gamblers was one of the first 8 original teams, and now we're up to 10 teams. I was talking with Casey Albert yesterday. There's going to be 13 events this season, up from 11 the last year, I want to say. But like, we can go back to teams to the big rodeos in El Paso in the 80s, and then we had I think there were some teams events in Canada at times, and there's been different team pieces, and Michael, we're talking about the Enterprise rental car team that you were part of in 2004. I remember Rob Bell was part of that, and you were mentioning how Flint Rasmussen was part of that. But then we had Jared Allen's Pro Bowl team. But now we got PBR teams, and we had Chad Blankenship on a show a while ago, and I know he's on as part of a different team, but he was with the PBR and the marketing side of things originally, and we talked with him about PBR teams being one of the biggest changes in marketing in professional bull riding maybe ever, and it's kind of flipping the whole thing on its head. But there's been a few parts to it over the years, but I want to hear kind of what those other versions were first, and your experience, and then how excited you have been to be part of this now.
Well, I think there's been a lot of success in the team concept platform going back to the 80s. Traveling partner, Cody Lambert, who I spent a lot of time with, was part of those, part of that situation back in those times. And he always talked about how highly successful it was because you were, obviously promoting the best guys in the sport of rodeo. And it was highly successful. And I talked to Cody Snyder just the other day. He was at the event Kid Rocks Rodeo there in Arlington. He was part of that. He's still, I think, the youngest world champion we've ever had in the PRCA, bull rider out of Canada. At 18 years old, won the world in 1983. He spoke of how highly successful that was. And, it went awry. Unfortunately, things came into play, I think, with a lot of the cowboys that felt like they were, it was unfair in certain ways. And I can't give you a lot of the details because not knowing exactly how it played out. But again, and then you move on to, different situations like myself, that is in Team Enterprise, approached by a corporate guy out of Enterprise Rent Car that I just happened to meet in Florida at one of our Challenger events in the PBR. Steve Smith, he worked directly for Andy and his wife, their Enterprise ownership of Enterprise, and they got into the PBR, and invested heavily. And I think when we were at full team, he called it our Team Enterprise. We were 14, 15 guys. Tater Porter, you mentioned Rob Bell, myself, Flint Rasmussen. I mean, Brian Cantor was a young gun at the time. Colby Yates, the coach of the Ridge Riders. I mean, there was lots of guys. Cord McCoy, excuse me. And so, and then, on past, retirement, Jared Allen, past football Hall of Famer. Well, I guess he's not been in the Hall of Fame yet. That story was in the news yesterday about how he's not in there yet. But, just a fantastic football player, dabbled in the bull teams with Matt Sharpling out of Minnesota, I believe, and owned Airtime. That was matched up with Justin McBride at the American, if people remember that. So, again, there's been these team concepts in rodeo and bull riding for a long time. And I think, Sean, tapped into something during the COVID, he claims, and now has brought this out of the war chest, so to speak. We're going on our third season, and kind of as this story unfolds, they want to bring more and more teams to the public. But unfortunately, we all know the landscape there. We don't have a lot of depth. I mean, we've got bull riders all over the place, but guys that can ride, 20, 21 and above type bulls is just not something that's that prevalent, unfortunately, for us and the teams and the ownership. But it's caught on really, really quickly, and I think we're seeing that with the excitement and the people in the stands.
And JJ, I gotta ask, you come from the baseball world, and it's always been teams for you, I guess, previously, and for bull riding, you're coming into the team's format. But just talk about how you kind of got to be part of this. I don't know that story at all.
Yeah, and it's really just primarily because of my background. I'd really been my entire life's been in baseball. Previous 24 years, I worked for the Nolan Ryan family, ran a couple of their minor league baseball teams and that were affiliated with Major League Baseball. I've been in Austin for the most part since 1998. When our ownership group, Abby and Egon Durbin, purchased the franchise for Austin, with this bull riding sport moving from an individual format for over 100 years into a team format, they were looking for somebody that had some type of experience running a team in some type of a league environment. And then they also, they really wanted to have somebody that was local, that knew Austin, that knew the fans here, that knew the scene, that knew the media, and just somebody that could kind of be plug and play. And so, I think fortunately for me, it was the right time, right place, had the history that I did. had been here for a long time, had been chairman of the Austin Sports Commission. And then, ultimately, it was great timing for me. I had just turned 50, was looking for a new challenge in my life. Didn't know that it'd be in bull riding. But it's been awesome. It's been a great ride so far, pun intended. I've had not only a great friend in G-Man, but a great mentor. Very first event I went to St. Louis, the PBR event in St. Louis, my very first day on the job, and G-Man took me under his wing, and ever since that day has continued to try to teach me about the sport, about the athletes, about the history, the guys that made it what it is today. He and the other 19 Cowboys that started this thing. And so it's been a great ride. Really excited about really the rocket ship that we're on. As you mentioned, Ted, we started with 8 teams in 2022. And now we go into our third season. We're already at 10 teams. There was plenty of interest to bring in more teams. And I think that you will see expansion at some time. We went from 10 regular season events. We're going to 12 now with the championship in Vegas. I think you're going to see even more teams activity potentially interjected into some of the UTB season. There's been talks of even a minor league system as well. So, I think teams is really where the future of bull riding is at for PBR. Obviously, there's still some tweaks that need to be worked out. We're only a league going into our third year. But we've got some great ownership groups, some great management groups, with the existing 8 teams, with the 2 new teams, in Brooklyn and now Oklahoma City. We're also moving in the new market in South Florida. So I think the future is really bright. It's been a great mix of the legends that have made the sport, like G-Man and Cody Lambert and Justin McBride and those guys, along with really savvy business folks that are involved in sports and entertainment, from Teton Ridge to Mark Lazary, to you name it. Every one of these ownership groups has just got a strong ownership portfolio, strong business sense. And honestly, I think our best days are still ahead of us.
What when you say the teams series, you think that's the future of the sport? I've had this conversation before about, I almost think, and I'm not trying to put any words in anybody's mouth, but I think the world title race, and Michael, you've been part of this, winning it in '97, and that was such a storied season, and that was how everything went for so long. And it's been so great, and watching those world title races is so exciting when it comes down to the end. Like, I think one of the best ones ever was 2013 when JB won the world for the first time. Right, he's 90 points, like 5 out of 6 times at the world finals, going against Silvano, and just such exciting races that way. But then you go to the team side and you have a whole different dynamic. And I forgot about the World Cups and the Global Cups with the different nations going, and those are some of the most exciting events ever. Edmonton in 2017 was unbelievable on that Saturday night. And Cody was part of one of the coaches of the Canadian team there. You mentioned Cody Snyder already, but I almost think that looking at the NHL and the NFL and the different major leagues, that the world title race, in my just some thoughts, and it's probably been discussed in many different ways already, but the MVP of the league season could essentially be a world champion at some point, and the entire PBR could be a teams focused league, and the world title race may be something that maybe goes away at some point. Maybe that's the league MVP season. I don't know, but I'm looking at the NHL, and we still have Connor McDavid, and the NBA has Luka Doncic, and those single players are still featured at a very high level. But I feel like the world title and the teams it's a lot of bull riding for a lot of guys now to try and to do both seasons. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think there and what that might look like in a few years. And JJ already mentioned that some of the the teams events might bleed into the world title race season. And I'm wondering what this looks like in 5 to 10 years. What you guys' thoughts are on that?
Go ahead.
You want me to start with that? Well, I guess I can start before JJ here on that account. Just how many couple months ago when we all got together, Ted, there at a team combine in North Carolina at Jerome and Tiffany's. It's funny because this was a conversation there having coffee before we started bucking bulls that day, and how this is kind of just the evolution of this with the teams coming into play, and backdrop was, whether it be JW, myself, Jerome, Ross, something very special for us old guys, and maybe that's what it is. We're just old fashioned to have a world champion, that puts you on that really, really daunting task and high pedestal, to attain that world championship title is really something. So for us old guys, it's something that's, again, really special to look forward to. But it's hard to beat on progress and to see where it ultimately goes. And it's funny you said MVP. We talked about the MVP. Maybe that's exactly what it takes the place of the single, the one guy who becomes like Jose Vitor, who we've fortunately had on our team last 2 years, win the MVP, and that becomes sort of the I guess the highlight cowboy or bull rider for the team season. He becomes kind of the world champion. Or I don't know what that's going to look like in, like you said, the next 5 to 10 years, because of what's happened already and what's transpired in these last 2 seasons. So Lord knows where it's going. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Ted, I will say this: as a bull rider first, all I care about is that it's successful for these young kids. They stay healthy. They have a great living while they're riding bulls. They can put away a good chunk of change, and they can have a life after riding bulls. And that's first and foremost for me. But it'll always be a special place for myself, and I think most of the old guys, to have a world champion, to say that he was the best at a certain time, in a period of his career, against his cohorts and his peers, because it says a lot about who he is as a man, as a bull rider, and as an athlete.
Yeah, and I think to follow up with G, I don't, regardless of how much more expansion there is in the team series, how much more of the calendar the team series takes up, I think there's always going to be an individual world champion in bull riding. In addition to, I don't know that MVP ever takes the place of that. And I think you just have to look at it differently. I mean, in the same sense that, forever PBR was a 10-month season, and a rigorous season that just was an ass kicker for these guys. I think there could be some changes to where, you think about the Olympics, to become a world champion, an Olympic world champion, it's a 1 week to 2 week period, right? So not to say that the world champion for bull riding will ever be, shortened to a 2 week period, but I think it can be a much more condensed version. You can still retain the integrity of that, because you look at the race from Cassio and John Crimber this year in Dalton, and how much fun that was, and it went down to the final day. So I think that there's always going to be a need for that, and I think there's always going to be a want and a desire, and especially, like, as G-Man said, from the traditionalists, and I think you can still have that. But then the MVP race is it's an additional. I don't think it takes the place, and I think when you look at, a guy like Cooper Davis this year sat out from the UTV season so that he can continue to ride bulls. You look at probably what Silvano is going to do this next year. Probably more than likely, you're going to see a lot of these older guys, gives them a chance to still remain in bull riding, but not have to go through a full year of getting their ass kicked every single weekend. And so, I think it's a young man's sport. It really is. And, I've never been on a bull, and hopefully I never will have to get on one. But, I do know this, it's a young man's sport. It is brutal. And, so there's always going to be that space for the John Crimbers and the Cassios and those guys to go and compete for that world championship. But I love the fact that this team series, to G-Man's point, has given an opportunity for these guys that have given so much to the sport, like a Cooper, like a Silvano. They can remain involved and ride bulls at a pace that still works for them and their family. So I think there's always I hope that there's going to be room for both, and I think there will be.
You brought up a point that I've thought about a couple times, where there's not much of an off season right now in the PBR. If you're competing in both seasons, you're competing essentially 12 months of the year, where the NFL is, what is it, like a 5-month season if you go to the end, maybe 6 months total. Those guys get 6 months off. The hockey players get at least 3, 4, 5 months off. Basketball, 3, 4, 5 months off. But bull riding, it's, and rodeo is even worse, where they don't have any off season. Essentially, you have to take a break if you want to. It's on your own dime. But I appreciate that there's the potential for an actual off season here, especially with bull riding, like you said, getting our asses kicked every week, and there's no recovery time to get healed up, and some of these injuries are worse than you see in any other sports, but there's no off season.
Yeah, yeah, and JJ does make a great point there. I mean, with the fact that having having a chance to have your cake and eat it too, and for the older guys like a Silvano and we saw Ryan Dirtier come out of retirement to join in, and it allows those guys that 10-12 week piece of the year where we can still enjoy watching those guys that typically otherwise would have gone home and we'd never seen again. So it's and again, this is allowing an opportunity for not only selfish like for teams and coaches like me and guys that have been come and gone to be a part of and having that relationship with those guys like Brian who come back and still have game. They just don't have game for 12 months, right? They're picking and choosing, and they're able to come and do teams like again a Cooper Davis who you may not see otherwise. So it really is. It's a great evolution that's happened for our sport, I believe.
Well, even Jose this year to be injured part of the year, but he's probably very focused. I'm making an assumption here, but he's probably extremely focused on getting back for the team series when he is the league MVP, and he's putting a little bit less weight on the world championship race because he knows that he has to show up for his team in the fall.
Yeah, yeah, and he is. I mean, and of course, like so many of them who have to go home and obviously be total professionals and choose to take that time off. And he is. I mean, he is the ultimate professional and very meticulous on how he approaches the game. Now, it's debatable, right? Whenever he goes and plays soccer, let's say, or something like that, when we get on him about getting banged up in the soccer field. But at the same token, I mean, a guy like him is going to go home and get ready to go. And I will say this, just what little pieces that we've heard from him. He's down in Brazil right now. His ranch down there, taking some time off and getting back healthy. He's gunning. I call him our ghost because sometimes he just kind of disappears, but we're seeing flashes of his excitement for the teams and him being, I think, like JJ, who played traditional ball, being a soccer player, Ted. I mean, he is. It's part of who he is, and in this team thing, and him being the captain. I mean, he really enjoys it, and he takes great pride in being the captain and being a big part of how we handle the team. So it's very special to him.
Yeah, I gotta ask this. My co-host is busy working. He works for a team, the Calgary Flames and the Calgary Roughnecks, the Calgary Sport and Entertainment Corporation. So he was excited about this show, especially to talk with you, JJ. I'm sorry he couldn't make it this morning, but he had the question, and Nampa, Idaho. You've probably been asked this tons of times, Michael, but like going back to that ride, Little Yellow Jacket, 96.5 points. How are we comparing that to Jose on Whoopa for what was it, 98.75? I forget what the number was now, but like this, how crazy were those couple rides where he was 97 3/4 and he was almost 100? Like, how do you compare those rides in your head? And then JJ, I got to ask you the same question, knowing the athletes these two guys are, to be this close to them, those two high scores. I just got to throw that in there a little bit.
Well, I will start like this, and this isn't being humble or anything like that. Obviously, Little Yellow Jacket was an amazing animal athlete, which and he kicked my ass several times before that. The weekend prior to that, matter of fact, riding Nampa, I saw his underbelly and can tell you exactly what the color was and the size of his, But it was really special for me, Ted. I think because at my age and because of where I was in my career, and to finally get by something like that. There's no doubt that judging is subjective in these types of things. And what I mean by earlier statement of being humble, I mean, obviously the judges are, they're going to, these are guys that knew me and knew me well. I travel with some of them. And I look at it as comparably to the other 2 or 3 rides like Chris Shivers and Bubba done on Promised Land. You can't compare any of those. Little Yellow Jack had a really great day. I had a great day, but everybody knows that it was a gift, and it's great for me and my career, and we've talked about it a lot. It's great for the sport, but and then if you step sideways and you start adding in Whoopah with Jose, I mean, what can you say? I mean, you can go on about the 100-point ride back in Oregon that one time with Wade Leslie. I mean, and then you can step even further and go back to rides with Denny Flynn and Donnie Gay and Jim,
Oscar.
the likes of these, and Oscar. These type of things. You could get into a great big debate here because of this subjectivity with being with judging and stuff like that. But that's how I feel. And I think that's how most of the general populace and bull riding and riders feel, that you take a ride like Jose made on Whoopah that day. Was it powerful? Was it a Pacific Bell type rank, dirty, hard to ride, brittle, mean? No, but it was an unbelievably athletic performance by both Animal Athlete and Cowboy, and you can't argue that he earned every bit of that 98 plus.
Yeah, I think it's the greatest ride ever. If I'm being subjective, in my opinion, that's the greatest ride ever. And I don't know how you match it. Like, I think it could have been 100 technically, right? Like, I don't know how you do it any different, right?
Exactly.
Right. But then, because then I go back to like a JB on Bushwhacker, and I'm like, yeah, he rode Bushwhacker, and it was hard, and that was, that could be the 100-point rides of hard, but it didn't look as nice as Jose on Whoopah, right?
Exactly. And there is that that debate that you're going to have. One's just really difficult, out of line, throwing the kitchen sink at you, and the other one's just blowing up in the air and spinning and coming back into you and all these things. So you get into that debate, and you're going down a really, really deep hole here. But we all know when we see a great bull ride against a great animal athlete and a great rider athlete, it's just when they come together and they're both doing the best they can, like that Whoopah. I mean, now obviously 100 points, you'll never see that because of those. One of them didn't do their job right.
Yeah,
right.
Technically,
to be exactly perfect. So it's debatable.
Okay, JJ, I got to ask you on the same version on the athletic side of it, and going between the two, and just these great rides. But I like talk about that first, but then I got another piece for you at the end.
Well, let me start with this. I've been involved in sports my entire life. Played baseball, played basketball, played football, track and field, been involved in every sport, seen referees, umpires, looked at all kinds of judging. And I say this honestly. I think bull riding judges have the toughest job there is in sports. To be able to not only watch the animal athlete and the powerful athletes that they are and the explosive moves that they're making, watch a rider at the same time the ride start to finish correctly, and then also see if there's any fouls. So to do any one of those four things is hard. Two's pretty hard. It's just, it amazes me that's even asked of them. Like, so I'll start with that. Secondly, never been on a bull, so I'd kind of be talking out of my ass if I told you too much, but take a lot of pride in this and really want to understand the sport. And so I've spent a lot of time with G, spent a lot of time with the other coaches, even went to a judges seminar, during the World Finals a few months ago. So, it's interesting because I do look at G-Man's ride on Little Yellow Jacket, and then I look at Jose's, and they're two completely different rides. The one thing that did come up in a meeting that we were at one point is some of the judges and some of the coaches were around, and they said, judge this ride right now, watching a video with no sound on a TV or computer screen, and then watch it live in the arena. Some of these guys had scored it that night in the arena, and then 2 weeks later watched it on video with no sound, scored it completely differently. And so I think that there's that human nature that G talked about, and I think there's times, there's moments that you just get caught up in as a human being. And G-Man's ride in Nampa and Jose's on Whoopah. I go back to Los Angeles this year, the UTV event, G, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Take Cassio's ride on Manhater.
Yeah.
You put that on the Sunday championship in AT&T Stadium Arlington. He damn near might have got what Jose did.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, truly believe that. But because it was an late January, early February event in LA, I think it was a Sunday afternoon. just you take that ride and you put it in a different place. I just feel like it would have got a different score. But again, the thing for me is it's better off that I don't understand as much about judging, because then I can't complain about as much. All I've ever asked for, and I think you do in sports, is just whatever it's going to be consistent, right? Whatever the matrix are that you use for judging, just keep them consistent. And then all 10 teams are on the same playing field, all riders are on the same playing field. That's all we can really ask for. But, it's fun. There's always going to be human nature to this. So
I got to ask you, Mr. Gaffney, the unfinished business, what age were you when you came back for that at JW's place? Just because I'm curious on JJ getting on a bull at 50. I know there was a couple guys that were in that somewhere around there.
I believe, was I what was I? I think I was 40 years old. That was 2015, I think.
That long ago?
I think, yeah, it's already been 2015, so that's been 9 years ago. So I was older than that. I was almost, I guess I'd have been, what would I have been? 45, 44? Yeah, I was I think that's right. 10 years ago, and I'll be 55 next month. So yeah, so it's not been 15, it's been 10 years ago. But anyway, I was old, right? And
old for a bull rider.
I'll put it this way: old for letting JB Mooney pick my bull. Let's put it that way. And I can leave it there. So, but that's when you start thinking, right? Delusional. Total. And my wife, of course, when she first heard JJ asking the question of us old guys, she thought, you guys are, right, more ridiculous than I thought, right? Because she's, type A, the physician and whatever, and really, after all years and years of packing ice on my shoulders or whatever injuries I was having at the time, and she, she'd been through a lot, and to hear that we were all us old guys were getting on bulls again was, it didn't set well with her at all. But I will say this lastly, that it was a great thing. Again, it's kind of like teams, right? Being in the same locker room and in the same building with the likes of the guys that I travel with. I mean, right? There's a camaraderie there that you can't emulate. I mean, this is a very special time, and that goes from the guys that were old, that were my elders, like Cody Lambert, and then the young guys who came in the locker room when I really needed that shot of adrenaline almost, and that resurgence that I felt like I gained when Ross and McBride and JW were in there. You needed that. I needed that shove or that push to get excited again about what we were doing. And so it was a really great moment, even though it lasted it was really, really brief. But to go back and feel that again and walk behind the chutes with my bull rope and climb on, it was euphoric for sure. Yeah.
Let me clarify. I actually do want to get on a bull, and say that because I did make a promise to the guys last year, to Gene and I, we won the Team Series championship in Vegas, that I would get on a bull. And I will tell you, when we got to the championship on Sunday and we were one ride away, I was puckering up a little bit. If the fact that I wanted to potentially help lead the team and be a part of something special, I was puckering. But now hopefully we'll be able to this year. I will say there's a caveat that the riders are not going to get to select the bull. I'm going to let him do that, because he knows that if anything happens to me, my wife is going to have his ass.
You won't be able to find me. I'll be buried somewhere out in the
field. Well, speaking of getting on bulls, the next Gambler event, we gotta talk about that a little bit, and getting, like, I was just having this thought. You guys have your event here. There's got to be some interest in the local area. Like, I would imagine there's almost some kids from, urban Austin that are fans of the Gamblers now that are gonna come check out the event. Possibly, we're talking about new bull riders and generating more interest in the sport. I think there's a little more of the urban connection now, where not everybody coming from a ranch to ride bulls. That's definitely something that's happening. But talk about that event, JJ, that you guys just had.
Yeah, we're hoping so. And I think one of the things, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, is just the amazing job the stock contractors have done, and where these bulls and these animal athletes are. They're just outpacing the riders. And so
there's been more investment in it in the last 25 years, though.
For sure. And so that's what we're trying to do on the PBR side and the team side is, one, generate more interest to get more folks interested in riding bulls, not just somebody that's grown up on a ranch or in that environment, but getting more people, maybe, some athletes that, maybe played baseball or basketball or football and didn't get that Division I scholarship and want to continue to have a chance to do something professionally. And so to create more awareness, and then also, the guys that are riding bulls and these young riders, get them in front of G-Man and Cody Lambert and the other guys and develop better bull riders so that they can ride the types of bulls that G was talking about earlier. So that's what we're doing. We're having, we're really customizing a PBR Challenger event. It's going to be in Taylor, Texas, partnering with Taylor Rodeo there. We're taking 20 young riders and we're dividing them up into 4 different teams, like the PBR Team Series concept. We're having 3 of our guys coach them, of our current riders. So we got Zeke Mitchell, Dalton Castle, and Lucas DeVino. And then the 4th team is going to be coached by a celebrity, Michael Sorelli, retired Navy SEAL, been a big part of the Gamblers. He's going to be assisted by G-Man. So those 4 coaches, we're going to have 4 teams, 20 riders, a couple long rounds, and then a short round. And the winner of the entire thing, there'll be a winning team, but the winning bull rider of the aggregate, that guy's going to get a shot to a provisional spot on our roster. And so, again, we hope that it generates more interest in the sport, not only from folks that have already interested, but as you talked about, Ted, maybe some folks from urban areas, getting more people interested in general, and then to the folks that are doing it, getting them better. So, yeah, we're excited. It's the first year. I think, some things will go well, some won't. Hopefully it will be a good enough event that we'll want to do it again next year.
Oh, speaking of new guys and new talent as well, Brazil, talk about that trip coming up too.
Yeah, so G-Man and I we're heading out. We're going to be in Brazil for 11 days. It's a great event. It's it's a little bit team building. It's a little bit training camp. We go to 3X Adriano Moraes' ranch for 3 days. We do some cowboy shit there. Then head over to Americana, and actually our team will participate in the Iron Cowboy event there. Spend a couple more days doing some Brazil things, but it's really a great opportunity. I think we were there for the first time last year. G can talk about the different things in terms of what it does for our team. Not just I think it meant a lot to our Brazilian guys that we took the time to go over to really see where they're from, see how they developed, and kind of what makes them tick. And I think it was just as great for our American riders as well to really be able to see that. So I think it's really mutually beneficial. And I think, G, you can talk about the competition and spend the day at Adriano's ranch.
Yeah. And Ted, JJ's exactly right. There's so many things that are great about going to Brazil and that crossover. I mean, obviously, 3-time Adriano Moraes was my traveling partner in the late 90s. We went to our last NFR together in 96. And, he was the pioneer, and that's why, JJ approached me when we initially about involving him in the Gamblers. And I thought, what a great idea, because of the respect that he has from all of the Brazilian riders, just because of what he accomplished in the arena. And then outside the arena, what he's done for the youth cowboys and bull riders down there, his family, Flavia, his wife, and 3 boys, they run PBR Brazil. So there's so much a big piece of this is taken care of by them and going down there and furthering those relationships with us and the Gamblers and the Brazilian riders, and letting them know that we're looking to these guys down there seriously, and we picked up one during the draft this year. I don't believe that I've met the boy. None of us have met him yet that I know of. JJ, right? We've not met him yet, so that's exciting. And we picked up Gene Pereira from there last year. Was one of the kids that actually lived with Jose Vitor Leme back some years ago. And Gene's back on our team on our reserve rider list this year. He rode in Fort Worth last night. He lives in the Decatur area, is living here now with his wife and daughter. So, again, that crossover and that relationship is just furthering, by the day. And we're really excited about that. And obviously 3-time is too. And to get to be around him from a bull rider standpoint, from the technical side, me personally, is a win-win for everybody, I think, in the league. and now it's kind of started. It hasn't started. It's already flourished into every team now in the league has a Brazilian coach, past world champions, Renato Nunez, Guilherme Marche, Ednei Caminas. I mean, these are the guys now that are involved because of these types of situations. So again, I keep saying the word evolution, but look what's happened in just 2 brief years of PBR teams. Who's back involved? I mean, you wouldn't have seen a Guilherme Marche again, or a Renato Nunez. Yeah, so you're talking about guys that have come out of the retirement and out of the woodwork to be a part of this, and it's so great for the teams and the leagues and the sport itself.
I want another name I just thought about was Robson Palermo. I wonder where, like, I haven't seen or heard from him lately, right? I wonder where he's at.
Yeah, and Robson, see, I left him off. I mean, he's with the Carolina Cowboys.
Oh, there you go.
So,
okay.
Right. So he's another one. And again, that you would have never, even though he's raising his family in East Texas, you probably would never have seen him unless you lived in the area or that type of thing. So he's another one that's come out of the, somewhat retirement to render up his expertise and be a part of a team that you would otherwise not ever see again. So it's so great for our fans and the fans that have tapped into professional bull riding to watch a guy like that and to be around somebody like that and have him be involved is really special.
So you guys are going in. This is the 3rd season. You're so close to winning it all last year. You guys have Jose Vitor-Leme. This year we're adding Kaique Pacheco from Nashville, comes over to Austin now. But going into the 3rd season, what's it going to take, JJ, to get to come out on top and get that humongous belt buckle?
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the day, and you could insert this answer for all 10 teams. It's health, right? Whoever can stay healthy the longest can be healthy in Las Vegas. They're going to have the best shot. You could have 1 great rider, 2 great riders, 3 great riders, but if they're hurt, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. And so obviously you got to be fortunate. You got to have a little luck. You got to maintain health throughout the year. We feel as good about our team as we ever have. Obviously, we've had some success the first 2 years with the regular season championship, and as you mentioned, we're 1 ride away last year. We think adding the Kaique piece is huge. Adding him to Jose and Dalton, for if and when one of those guys ever falters or get hurt. And then you add, some of the veterans that we've got from Ramon de Lima and Lucas Davino and Zeke Mitchell and some of the reserve riders we got. We just signed Trevor Kastner and Callum Miller, who's Callum spending a bunch of time on the Canadian tour. So we've loved our team the last 2 years. We had to make some tough decisions this year. Austin Richardson, who was number 1 at the beginning of the year and had been a vital part of our organization for 2 years. Loved Austin. Court McFadden, just a great kid, up and coming star. And so we had to make some tough decisions. G-Man and I spent a lot of time, and it took a lot of time for us to kind of get through that. But we just felt like the time is now. Jose and Dalton kind of in the peak. We feel like there's a short window right now, and we just feel like we needed to do everything we could this year to try to get over the hump. And so, again, we're going to need some luck like everybody. But I told G-Man it would be very hard for us to ever complain about our team. And so we're excited, and now we just have to see what happens on the dirt.
What, Michael, what about the coaching aspect of the teams and how much of an asset you would say that would be in the bull riding side of things, where it hasn't really happened before? Like in the, I went to Gary LeFew's house when I was learning to ride and would go and have to pay to go and get, to go to the schools and whatnot. But like having a coach at the rider's disposal now, like that's got to be such an asset. And I wonder, like, I know there were some stats shared about the riding percentage at these team events is much higher with the bull picking and matching up with the right guys and whatnot. But tell me about the next step in the, the sports psychology side or the workout program side and the eating side, like the coaching side of it. How much do you think that changes things on the team side of things?
Well, I think it's such a huge, the component of this. Ted, and you nailed it. I mean, the coach, I mean, you being a writer and stuff, knowing or thinking that if you had an advocate, a coach per se on your side, not just your traveling compadres, right? That would give you hell. Somebody that has that has an ear for you, that you can talk to about all the different things about nutrition, and correctly, mind you, right? Technically, go through these types of things and have that ear and have a chance to give you some direction, right? And I get this question quite a bit, whether it be interviews by the PBR, Jen and them coming to me and saying, what do you as a coach and the other coaches offer? And I say a lot of times it's and I point to my ear, most of the time, because these are professionals, right, Ted? I mean, these are guys that are seasoned professionals, most of them. Now, there are a lot of kids. John Crimber's coming up, who's, an 18-year-old kid. Clay Guyton, these types of kids, obviously, I think are going to benefit all the more from a coach because they're not set in their ways, so much like a Ramon, who's such a seasoned veteran. But again, to have an ear all the time, and then to have an advocate like our GMs, JJ, who's in the background all the time, actually in the foreground, always spearheading things and trying to make things better, and having all the opportunities and all the things available for our riders. I mean, how huge is that? Think about going back to your riding career when you have all these advocates on your side, these strong advocates, wanting you to do better and offering you things and just laying it out in front of you. You just got to take a hold of it and go after it and go battle, and the rest is basically taking care of you. But that's, again, you're talking about youth and young guys and big egos and all these types of things, which is speaking of components. That's why when you take a locker room and this team concept and you put these cats all together and you have a culture that nourishes and really touts positivity and all these great things, and you put them in the locker room with Jose Vitor Leme, who's a very meticulous and a true professional, how do you not get better, right? How do you not want to be better? Not only for a lot of these kids that may not be married or they are married and have relationships and stuff. I mean, everything about their career and being a true professional, I think is just it's going to get better. There's no way it can't. And you're only as good as who you're around, right? So
Absolutely.
Anyway, I go on all day talking about the what good all this format and this platform is for a rider.
Before we finish here, we got about 7 minutes left on my clock. Gambler Days, August 23rd to 25th, Austin, Texas, the Moody Center. JJ, we got to hit on that before we're done. Then I got kind of just one more piece before we wrap up, unless there's anything else you guys got.
Yeah, going into our third season here in Austin at the Moody Center. For those who have not been, Moody Center was actually named the 2024 Polestar Venue of the Year. There's no venue better in the world for its size. It's right on the University of Texas campus. For those that have not been to Austin and seen the 50,000 students here, it's an amazing event. It keeps getting bigger and better every year. We've got some new partners this year that we're excited about. Monster Energy, obviously a big partner of the UTB, is stepping in and becoming a partner with all the different teams. Obviously, our main partner, Tecovas, and we've got Yeti here headquartered as well. Dell Technologies, that was started on the UT campus about 2 blocks from the arena. So just a great environment here. I think, obviously we're a little biased, but it's not too big. It's a really intimate venue. And once you get inside, it's very tight and you're right on top of the action. They've got all the updated technology in terms of video boards and screens and sound and everything else. So it's a really fun event. I would encourage everybody to go to as many team series events as you can. We're in South Florida this year. We're obviously going to be in Brooklyn this year as well, Barclays Center, which is going to be great, and finish up in Vegas. So, I would argue that, any one of the team series events is going to be great this year. We're going to be in 12 of them. The new non-home markets events this year, Anaheim and then Duluth. The guys will be participating, some of them in Big Sky and in Cheyenne, but it won't be an official team series event. But no, we're excited about this year. I've got a new Hui Austin Gamblers hat. We've got a new collaboration with Hui. that we're just starting. So we're going to have some different styles that we're rolling out throughout the year. We're excited about that. But no, just again, I just, as an outsider, just really fortunate to be able to, be around guys like G-Man and Cody and Justin and the guys that that made this sport, the current writers, obviously Jose and Kaiki and Dalton, Zeke, meeting guys like you. It's I will tell you, as great as the baseball world was, Western sports, PBR, the folks that are involved, just great people, super humble. It's just fun to be a part of and super proud and excited for this next year.
We're glad to have folks like yourself too, and to be at this, like you mentioned early on, at a high level in the sports and business world, to take the PBR to another level. Like Michael, you can talk to this too if you wish, but like this was your dream in '92 when you guys had the first meetings to create the PBR. You guys wanted to make it as big as you could, and this a lot of it's coming into reality right now. It feels like.
Yeah, it really is. It's back in those times. You can imagine in 1992 we met that day. It was a pipe dream. It really was, Ted. I mean, we just wanted a better opportunity to make more money and to do what we love to do. Right? Get on better bulls, not being a drawn contest. Right? You know the landscape back in those days. It was really terrible. And obviously make the NFR and have those 10 days out of 365 days to make your living was not the greatest thing, right? And again, if you factor in all the injuries, you're going to 100 plus rodeos, throughout the season. It is really brutal on guys, and so yeah, to come 30 plus years into the future and see what's transpired, and again that word, that evolution that's happened. We hit kind of, I think, a plateau obviously in the mid 2000s, and then now with obviously you mentioned earlier the global cup teams and stuff. That was a real shot in the arm too, right? It really kind of that team concept when it really showed its head, and then now to the teams is all the grander. And I think there's nowhere we see but going up. We get people that are involved like JJ, who are the GMs that know business, know how to run sports teams, and obviously the riders themselves, the athletes, becoming better at their craft, right? From, like you said, nutrition to the workouts to the discipline that they have to ride at this level against these types of animal athletes. Yeah, it's just getting bigger and grander, and it's happening quick.
The last question we ask everybody on the show: what's your definition of cowboy shit? JJ, we'll start with you on that one.
It's funny you say that, because when I got your invite, when G-Man and I are talking, and he'll talk about somebody that's just got a lot of grit, or just somebody that just does some just rank shit. He that's some real cowboy shit. So I just think it's real, it's tough, it's gritty. It's all those things that make this sport, bull riding, what it is.
Michael?
Cowboy shit. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to expound on what JJ just said, because that's exactly what it means to me. It means genuine, right? It just means that. I mean, it's real in professional bull riding. There's no timeout. There's no throwing up your hands and saying, I need a second, right? And then I will say this, and this is a sidebar. JJ and I are up in Fort Worth for the Arlington Kid Rock Rodeo the other day, and I haven't seen a lot of these cats. And what I mean by that is I'm in Papado's eating lunch with JJ. We're meeting, and you got the likes of Joe Beaver, Fred Whitfield. I mean, these guys start walking in because of these types of situations that are happening in the Western lifestyle. You're seeing these past professionals getting back involved in these platforms and teams, and it reminds me what cowboy shit is, right? I mean, multi-world champion calf roper Joe Beaver, who I haven't seen in 25 years. I mean, these are the guys that I tried to emulate, right, Ted? Because they were badasses. And that's who you aspire to be when you're a cowboy, is guys like him and guys before him, like the Donnie Gays, the Denny Flynn's, the Jim Sharps, Tough Hedeman. I mean, these are cats, Cody Snyder, that I saw as guys that I wanted to emulate, and it made me proud to try to be like them. And every once in a while, I felt like I did get I filled those shoes just a little bit, maybe.
Well, I appreciate you guys both taking the time to do this today. Once again, PBR teams starts July 12th to 14th, Oklahoma City at the Paycom Center. And once again, Gambler Day is August 23rd to 25th at the Moody Center. Thank you both for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time. Best luck this season, too.
Roger that. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, guys. Well, it was a really fun show. Dustin, I'm sorry you didn't get to make it on there. That morning you had a few things.
There's a big old dog turd going across there.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry,
You got your name on there.
Sorry.
Is that from the game the other day?
Yeah, from our hockey game, yeah.
For those listening, Dustin just put a Calgary Flames name bar across the screen with his name on it because he's a total Flames guy now.
Total.
And but you guys had like a big hockey game. What was the story with that thing?
Yeah, so they call it the Finance Cup. It's
why finance?
Because it used to be like the finance team of the Flames would play like the other department, and then now it's morphed into like a 6-team tournament.
Oh shit!
And it's the most sought after award in all of sport. And they do like a full draft. Like Brendan Parker hosts like the draft show.
Really?
Every team has a GM, and they go through the draft order and pick their teams, and then go to the dressing rooms. Like they have catering brought in for each team, like your catering tables and your name bars and jerseys, and then you play 2 games, and then the final the top 2 teams in each division go into the championship.
So it must be a bit of goals for and against, or is it wins losses, or how does it work?
Wins losses. So we went 2-0, and then we made it to the finals.
Yeah, did you win? Did you guys win?
No, we lost by what we lost. We were tied 4-4, and we lost with 12 seconds left. It was a
No
way. But it's super cool. They bring in the whole video production team that do the Flames games. So it's like the whole Jumbotrons going with all the video replay and everything of your goals and stuff. So it's pretty neat. And then Beasley, the Flames announcer, came in and announced. So
that's fun.
So it's cool to hear your name get announced over the PA when you score. And
did he make any funny jokes about anybody though?
No, he didn't.
It was all serious.
It was all pretty serious. I got when he announced one of my hat trick in the one game, he had some fun with it and was yelling at people to throw their hats on the ice that were in the crowd. So
there was nobody there.
Well, all the other teams in all the office, they like fill in and watch, and they have a couple of the boxes like with booze and food in them and stuff. So it was it was super cool. Heartbreaker losing in the final 12 seconds, but it was lots of fun. So
how many people per team?
I think 12 guys a team and a goalie. So
really? And so is it all Flames people or like CSEC people? Like there's that many people that work for you guys?
Oh yeah, we got a big office. So
you got enough goalies? Need a goalie? I can play goalie.
Yeah, we had enough. Really? I got a text from Sean O'Brien, who you're friends with, Ted.
Yeah.
And he was, because the feed from the Jumbotron also is in the dressing room, the Flames dressing room. So he was like working out or something. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just watching this game. Like, this is awful." Like it was god awful to watch. So to me, it felt really fast paced, but I think to the spectator, it was pretty slow. But it was fun. Yeah, it was a great day.
Okay, who's the person on the Flames, like on the CSEC payroll, who you thought would be a good hockey player, but they were just terrible?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
You don't have to sewer them out like in person. You can just deflect and say no comment.
I'm gonna no comment, but there actually wasn't really. Brendan Parker, who went first overall, is the first overall pick.
Oh, really?
I thought,
is that because he's hosting the draft?
I don't know. I don't know if it's pressure from him being the host, and I thought, he's gonna be really good, and he was a good player, but we beat them.
Oh, really?
There's no problem. So
who all was on your team? Anybody would know?
No, I don't think there was anybody that would you would know or be friends of the show.
Okay.
I think one of the athletic therapists from the Flames was on our team. Mike, he was good. Yeah, just a little bit of mixture of people from the marketing and ticketing and athletic department and stuff like that. So lots of fun.
Right on.
Hey, what about that golf fundraiser you're doing?
Oh man, I gotta talk about that.
Yeah, you gotta play golf for 24 hours a day.
No, not 24, just the daylight. But it turns out for anybody in America that the daylight in Alberta in the summertime is pretty long. So
Mm-hmm.
last year, well, I got into it from Don Johansson's son, Cade, and then we were in Palm Springs, and I met up with Kevin, the organizer, at the airport, and then we got together and did some golf, and then we kind of became friends. His wife was putting on an event in Palm Springs that time we were there, and then we went for some golf, and I was like, well, if you ever need anything, just let me know. And then a while later, he was like a couple months later, he's like, hey, do you want to go in this thing? And I was like, oh, yeah, why not? I think that'd be fun. Any day I can golf is a good day. But he walks, and you've walked with me at Valley Ridge, and it's a pretty big walk. And River Spirit,
20,000 steps. 20,000 steps I got.
oh boy, River Spirit's pretty similar. Apparently, it's got a big hill on it too, and they walk. But he played 6 rounds, so it starts at like 5 a.m. and goes to like 11 p.m. and you
Jesus.
walk the whole time, and like I don't know what it's gonna be like. He says he goes through like 6 shirts and like 4 pairs of underwear and like 6 pairs of socks and 4 pairs of shoes, and like it sounds like it might be a bit of a
Better bring the
challenge.
old swass towel.
Yeah, Cade was talking about having a bunch of
Build up.
Vaseline. He didn't chafe too bad.
Baby powder and Vaseline will be your
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, you gotta lube up the thighs. So
Where can we donate to this, Ted? When we get a plug?
Hold on. I got the link here close. I was just looking at it. So it's
Donate to the
alldaygolf.ca.
sweatathon.
Alldaygolf.ca is the link.
That's
There's a
all
big
with
red
an A.
Yeah, all day, DAY, and golf with a G, GOLF.
Sorry, and what is it that you're rating
.ca.
ready for?
Special Olympics Calgary.
Beauty.
Yeah, June 17th at River Spirit Golf Club. So Cade and I are going. There's 5 or 6 of us doing this thing. What is there? Kevin, Leo, Cade, Scott, and Ted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. So one guy's got to play by himself for all day, and the other guys get to go as 4.
That's lonely.
No, I think there's a bunch of people that come in. I think like JD and some of the guys from CJ come out and play like 9 or play 18 or something
cool.
with us. So it's kind of like jumping around. So if you're around on the 17th, Dustin, you might have to come out and check it out.
I might have to
golf
yeah.
with me. You
Yeah,
can come
maybe
play
I'll
with
come
me
in for a
anytime
few
between
holes.
5 and 11.
Okay,
There's
I'll jump out for a few holes.
Come out and hang out for a while.
Get you on the
Yeah.
back 3.
So we're doing some fundraising for that though. Thanks for mentioning that. I forgot about it.
Cool.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Good work. Okay, we got to talk about those Ontario events though, Dustin. We had 7,000 people at the show in Ottawa on Saturday.
That's
it was
super
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, it was wild. Such a fun time.
Do you think that having the time off and taking like staggering the years the tour hits those cities makes a big difference, or do you think it could do it every year?
I don't know that. I think it would depend. But thinking about a place like Edmonton now, where it's there every year, and it's like in November, and we've been there, 2 or 3 years now, and it's building and growing. And like Saskatoon's been a lot of years, and it's building and growing. And we've been in Medicine Hat a few years now, and Grand Prairie, and like some of those shows. There's the one thing with East is there's not a lot of it. Like there's not a lot of events, so there's less
The
of it.
market's
So
not saturated, that's for sure.
yeah,
So-
where it is out west, right? The only
Yeah.
thing that separates some of the PBR shows from a lot of the other shows is the production. Not the only thing, but
Yeah.
one of the things, right? The production's at a high level, and it's more of a show than a rodeo where it's or like a slack performance where it's rodeo. It's not a show as much, right? So
Yeah.
anyways, I don't know. I would love to see it happen every year. When we've been out east quite a bit. I guess this is the second year though. We didn't do anything in 2022, but 23 we were there and 24 were there. So I'd expect we'd be back out again next year. And a lot of it changes though too, Dustin. Like how it is with the scheduling and the buildings. Like
Yeah.
we might want to go to Ottawa again, but we can't because the Senators are in the playoffs, or we can't go to London because they're hosting Memorial Cup, or like the way that the buildings work. Like there's a lot of venues that are potentials, but like Kingston was a new one this year. And we didn't talk about that yet, actually, which is kind of crazy. But like the sound system went out in the middle of the dang opening of the bull riding. That was rough. We got through it, and nobody even asked for a refund.
How long was the power out for?
Well, like we didn't have any sound for like an hour of the show.
Wow.
We were
You
bucking
just
on.
went through some local speakers.
Yeah, like I have a speaker that I have, like the one that's under my desk, like this little like 12-inch JBL.
Yeah.
I have like a little tiny speaker. That's what we were doing the whole bull riding on for a while with
You
one
just
tiny
put a
speaker.
cell phone in a cup?
4,000, yeah. 4,000 people in the building. We had a cell phone in a cup, basically.
No
Brinson
shit.
hooked up one of these microphones to the speaker just directly in the back of it. And then eventually we just ran my whole mixer through it so the horn would go off. And then luckily Peter had ordered some speakers for the ice level because we didn't know if we would need them or not. And there was no Long McQuaid close by. So he had these other speakers. So then Bill Caverly went and set him up, and Bill was the hero of the night because he also figured out the whole thing was caused by a faulty power bar. That was what was eventually the problem. The fire alarm went off first, and that screwed it up. But then it was a power bar. So just like total disaster.
That's one for the Bucks.
Yeah, but anyways, like, and that was a sold out Wednesday night crowd. Like, we went to Kingston Tuesday, Wednesday because it made sense. We were all there anyways. Instead of flying back and forth,
Yeah,
we just stay out there for 8 days and you do 4 shows in 8 days. Like, it was, and sold out London, one day in Kingston and Ottawa. Like, we didn't sell out Ottawa, but it was like a huge crowd.
that's a big crowd. Yeah, and that's
right, for bull riding, 7,000 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Did Brinson get the whole crowd singing "O Canada"?
No, but he did it in Kingston
Okay.
when there was nothing going on. Like he got him. That was one of the things that we did in the opening.
Gotcha.
He was like, Jason had an idea. Jason Davidson. He's like, yeah, let's sing the anthem. But yeah, it was a fun tour. I saw Stoven Island. Man, there's a Stoven Island in the Thousand Islands. I have an island I didn't even know about.
Is it a cool island or?
It's actually the only thing you can do on the island is you can take a dump. Like, there's a bathroom, or you can like dock.
That makes sense.
You can dock on my island, and apparently it's a little bit run down. Like, the parks guy that I call, like, I could call the tour boat. I was like, hey, like, how do I get to my island? He's like, oh, I didn't know he's your island. I was like, yeah, it's Stoven. That's my name. Like, I got to come see this island. Will you take me there? He's like, we don't have a tour till 2, and my boat's too big to dock at your island. You just have a small dock. So couldn't go see my island because the dock's too small.
Small dock.
Small dock.
You need
But
a little
really, you can
dinghy.
dock and camp at the island, but you can't camp on it, but you can shit on it.
You
So
can take your little dinghy to your little dock,
yeah.
take a dump, carry on.
But it's in a
Island,
national park.
beautiful.
So next time I go, I'm gonna go check it out. And might have to call those Parks Canada guys and ask them, like, hey, why is my island getting run down? Do I gotta help get some
Well,
investment into the island?
congratulations on your island, Ted.
Cowboy Shit's Stoven Island. It's
There
on
you
the
go.
map. It's real. It's legit.
It's real.
Is there any Edwards Islands?
Probably.
Probably.
Just the Prince
Yeah.
Edward one.
Oh yeah, Prince Edward Island.
That's true. Prince. That's
Yeah.
definitely named after you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got anything else for this one?
I'm wrapped. I'm wrapped.
Okay.
We'll see you down the trail.
Yeah. Well, we won't for a while. We'll see you at home.
Yeah.
See you next Monday.
See you on the golf course between
Yeah.
5 and 11.
Exactly. Anyways, if you want to donate, everybody, alldayGolf.ca, check it out. Thanks again to our guests on the show, Sean Morton, our editor, as always. Cassie, thanks for doing this. Dustin, thanks for taking the time.
Heck yeah.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Go Oilers.
Go Oilers.